Hello, and welcome back to the Bottom Bins podcast. This is our fourth installment of our regular scheduled Premier League coverage. Don't know about you lads, but I am absolutely buzzing to have the Premier League back. What about yourselves?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Oh, it's great to be back.
It's good to have regular football back once again. Look, I'm just going to jump straight into it, lads. Well, no, sorry, I'll apologise first to the listeners at home. Folks, we apologise for the audio last week. We
Shocking.
we don't really know what happened. We don't really have an explanation for it. It was ass. We apologise for that. So we are hoping that this one's going to be a bit better. Still working out the kinks of these remote podcasts because we're not in the studio. But anyway, I get straight into it. Boys, first game I want to talk about, and you can call me biased as fuck, but I want to start with Man United because that was a superb display last night. And I'm going to key in on one player in particular, um, because I feel like he doesn't get enough credit, and I feel like we'll do it a wee bit more justice. Casemiro, guys, I want to run through his numbers with you last night. 104 touches, 85% pass accuracy, 74 passes completed, 7 long balls completed, 5 tackles won, 3 clearances, 2 key passes, 2 interceptions, 1 block, 1 assist. Pulling the strings from deep in midfield. Oren, I'll come to you first. Is he the best centre defensive midfielder in the world?
Okay, he has to be. He has to be. Everybody would have considered him the best DM in the world when he was at Madrid, and now that he's at United, now there's being questions asked, and it's always the way. But look, I didn't think United. Look, it was a 3-0 win. I didn't think they performed overly well last night. However, Casemiro really showed his class. He showed both his defensive qualities and attacking ability.
Yeah.
And he was just all over the pitch. We mentioned it in our parlay last night. He was in left back for the first goal, and he set up the first goal essentially. And then the third goal, of course, his interception. He was the one man still switched on at all times, and it was great pass to Fred, and fair play to Fred, great finish as well. Um, I don't think it's papering over the cracks this time because we've had a lot of people come in at that midfield, and it's been, oh, who's gonna replace Carrick, who's gonna replace now Matic, and I think Casemiro's the real deal.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that, Oren. Connor, obviously, as Oren was alluded to there, we have had a few midfielders come in over the years that have just sort of papered over the cracks. They've not come in really to establish themselves in the Man United side. What is it that you like about Casemiro? What makes him different to the rest?
Well, as you were saying, I think United have been crying out for a central midfielder, like a centre defensive midfielder for years, and it's like been a key missing point. He's so good. He's just so good at like breaking up the play. He's, as Owen was saying, like he was in left back. He sees the danger. He knows where to go. He's got that experience. And he can play a pass. Even that ball to Fred was like, I think it was like maybe there was a few players down the right. He could have just played the easy pass, but he picked out Fred with just brilliantly. Great finish by Fred, which I was surprised by, to be honest. But yeah, I think you could just see the difference in
I
class. I
wasn't
don't
that Fred baller.
Yeah, 2-0 up. I wasn't that surprised actually, because if it was 0-0, he might have missed it. Like, to be fair, but
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, he would have ballooned that into Rose head. But see, with Casemiro, you can see the difference in class, because I know certain people like the McTominay, the Fred, but there's just a gulf in class there. We've seen it with Madrid, how good he was, how key he was. When they lost him, they were gutted. Like, you've seen Cruz and Modric come out. I think, as he's kind of alluded to, I think he's been underrated a bit, because at Madrid, he was so good. He was so good at like protecting, like even you think of the Madrid teams, they weren't as good right back, left back, like Carvajal and Marcelo. He was protecting them. He's protecting that back four, and he can go forward and get the ball. And he was just like letting Modric and Cruz do their thing. But he was key, I thought, as well. And even for Brazil, he was one of their star performers at the World Cup,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really his fault they got put out, to be honest, because I thought he was very good at the World Cup too, and I think he would actually been, if they would have kept going, he could have been player of the tournament.
Yeah, look, I don't think that's a mad thing to say either. To be honest, I thought Casemiro was excellent at the World Cup. Oh, and I'll come to you with this one. Look, what is it, do you think, that maybe sets Casemiro apart from the rest? What is it that you believe puts him on a different pedestal to say the likes of Rodri and guys like this?
Uh, Casemiro, he's just so good at reading the game. He's almost 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody else when it comes to where the ball's going to be. And it's going to sound random, but Casemiro has this sort of innocent face on him. He makes these wee fouls, and he just looks at the ref, and the ref just lets him away with it. Wee fouls other players might get a yellow card. Like Casemiro probably makes 5 or 6 fouls before he gets a yellow card, but that's not a grudge on him. He just has this sort of he just knows what he's at. He does the smart fouls that aren't going to get him booked, but are going to stop the opposition. What really epitomized Casemiro's impact last night was the third goal, because it was both sides of him. He got in. He got a turnover, a great tackle, played a great pass in the Fred, and then Fred became prime Van Nistelrooy for a second with a great wee finish.
Well, that's it. Look, there is those both elements to his game. Another player, lads, that I just want to run through quickly before we move on to Forest. Look, obviously United were hit with a lot of illness there last night. A lot of boys not fit to play the full game. Thought Varane played very well last night, but look, Luke Shaw stepped in last night at centre back. And to me personally, it looked like he had been there all his life. Mm-hmm. So I'll run through his numbers with you here. 118 touches. He was the most touches of any Man United player. 100 passes completed, most of any Man United player. 90% pass accuracy. 11 ball recoveries, most of any United player. 5 long balls completed. 3 out of 3 of his aerial duels were won. 3 interceptions, the most of any United player. And 2 clearances. Thought it was a very underrated and superb performance from Luke Shaw last night. Mm-hmm. Oren, do you think that's maybe a realistic conversation that if needs must, Shaw could step in and play centre back then?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I was gonna say whenever you mentioned Shaw that he completed 100 passes, which was the most out of any United player last night. Yeah, no, he was fantastic. We've seen him in a back five at left centre back sometimes under Ollie and stuff in the Champions League. Against City and the likes of Liverpool and stuff like that. We've seen him play there under Ollie, and he always performed all right. But Ten Hag said last week against Burnley, whenever we had a shortage of centre backs, that Luke Shaw was the first man to step up and say, "I'll play centre back." But obviously, he ended up choosing Casemiro, which look, Casemiro can play there too. It's 100%. I think it's good to have that versatility, especially with Malacia coming in at left back. Like he's young, he needs games. He's still quite raw. He played well last night, but there's still a few errors in him that need to be kinked out. And obviously Maguire, look, he had a good World Cup, but he's struggling with a bit of illness, and even just his natural form for United isn't 100% there at the minute. So Agreed. To have that option of Luke Shaw at centre back is definitely a big bonus for Manchester United.
Yeah, agreed, Owen. Completely agreed. Connor, overall then, just to clean up on Man United then, what did you make of the performance? Where do Man United go from here? Are we starting to see Ten Hag's Reds cooking a wee bit?
Yeah, it is. We're getting better. The more time, I think we're going to keep improving, the more time we'll have under Ten Hag. With this season, I think it is just keep trying to get wins. I think Ten Hag has been, I think at the start we were struggling defensively and struggling to keep clean sheets, but I think he's happier now. We're keeping clean sheets. We look a bit more solid at the back. I know that like the goal that was disallowed was switched off. We need to be alert because I think Nottingham Forest are a very poor outfit and I think they will get relegated, but you still have to beat these teams. On a 3-0, it was comfortable. We dominated the game. Rashford's playing well. I think Ten Hag was saying as well, we need a striker. I think we definitely need a striker because I think Martial is a good player, but he is injury prone. And we need an out-and-out number 9. But I think, we've got to win our next 2 games. We'll play Wolves, who are near the bottom of the league, and we'll play Bournemouth. If we go win them games, and then I think we'll play City maybe in the derby, and then we'll see where we're at then. But hopefully, I do think we're playing better football now, and we're more exciting to watch, and we are starting to dominate games, which is totally different to what we're used to in the last few years.
Absolutely agreed, Connor. Absolutely agreed. Owen, I'm going to come to you on this one then. Look, Forest. What are we saying about them then? Look, over the past number of weeks before the break in the World Cup, I think all 3 of us were certain that they were going to go down. What's your verdict on them? We haven't really heard from you on Forest yet. So what's your overall take then on a team like Nottingham Forest?
Look, Nottingham Forest have tried the model that Fulham tried a good few years ago of throwing money at players. How many players have brought in? They brought in over 20 players.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in like basically 2 new teams, and those players need time to gel. They didn't really stick with the boys who got them up through the playoffs, which is probably one of the hardest ways to get up to the Premier League, is through the Championship playoffs.
Yeah.
And they just haven't gelled. Like, they have a goal difference of -22 after, 15 games or 16 games, whatever it is. Like, defensively, they're poor. I don't see where their goals are going to come from, honestly. It's Awobi. What's he called the guy? I'm brutal with his name.
Awaniyi.
Oh yeah, that guy up front. He's just not scoring.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest just aren't creating goals. They're not really creating chances. Like, yeah, they went to United last night, that the goal disallowed. Right, it was by his offside. But did they really create many clear-cut chances? Because United have been giving away clear-cut chances all season, and for the last number of years, it's not like you're going to United in 2006 where you know you're going to get one half sniff at the goal. Like, you can create chances against this United team, and Forest just didn't in the slightest.
Yeah, like Forest have only scored 11 goals this season, and they haven't scored in an away game in like 7 or something. So
One away
they can't
goal all season.
they can't score goals. They're just, if it's going to be a goal, it's going to be from a set piece. Really, that's really all you can see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Totally agreed. Well, look, I'll move it on here. We'll go to the boys at the top of the table, and wow, they are just proving all the doubters wrong at the minute, aren't they? Arsenal. Look, first 20 minutes, I thought, they looked like they were just shaking the cobwebs off. But look, I want to pick out a player last night who I thought played particularly well for Arsenal. And a lot of people probably didn't give him his dues. Eddie Nketiah stepped up, came into the number 9 role. And to be honest, I thought he played just as well, if not better, than what Jesus had been playing over the past few weeks. Connor, what do you think? What did you think of Nketiah's performance overall last night then?
Yeah, I thought he played very well. He is a good player. He's like, I've seen, he's like England's top scorer under 21s. Like, he can score goals, but I thought all round he was good. He held the ball up well, and the finish, the strength to push off the defender and to finish the goal was unbelievable. I actually thought he was clinical. Like, that was a great finish, because Jesus, that has been the one question about him. It's been never his hold up player skill. It's just his finishing. I do think maybe, I see they're linked to a few guys. I do think maybe they still do need maybe another forward player in there. You know, Saka's been playing well. Odegaard's been unbelievable as well. But I do think Nketiah, seen he scored 11 in his last 11 games at the Emirates. Like, he is good at home. He's a good player. He can take a chance. So I think Arsenal, as you said, they're proving the doubters wrong. And as I think Declan Rice came out and said after, they are title contenders. There's no doubt about it now. They play great football. Even when they went 1-0 down, you still believed. You watched them play. They're still confident. Like Saka, Odegaard's been very good for them. Great. He's been their captain. He's been unbelievable. But yeah, Nketiah has been good. But I do think that we'll still go for a forward option in January.
No, that's fair enough. I think Mudryk's probably the most likely to head to Arsenal at the minute. The young fella from Shakhtar, he'd be a fantastic addition for them. Brings a lot of pace, a lot of speed, directness. Really likes to go with the man. I think he would definitely make them better. Oren, I'll come to you then next. What did you make of Arsenal's performance then last night overall? Who stood out to you then?
Well, look, I've been one of the doubters for Arsenal. Excuse me. I didn't think that they had what it takes, and look, I'll probably change my mind again in a couple of weeks.
Well, look, I seen your tweet last night, and I have to say, I thought it was very ballsy of you to come out and say, look, I was wrong here. So, do you think your opinion will still chop and change over the course of the season?
I do, to be honest. I do think it'll change. I do think they're genuine title contenders. I'm not going to take that off them. Whether they can win the title or not, we'll see, because there's still a lot of the season to go, and a couple of injuries could impact them greatly. But look, they're playing phenomenal football. Mikel Arteta has made some great decisions over the past 6 months to 12 months, and I think the key decision that he made was making Martin Odegaard his captain. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He pulls the strings in that Arsenal midfield. Not even just midfield. He's up front. He's helping out defensively. He's all over the place. Eddie Nketiah, he came in yesterday. He performed well, and look, that's another one of Arteta's good decisions. Eddie Nketiah was a free agent there in the summer for a couple of days, and he was like, "No, look, I want him. I want him at Arsenal. This is where his future lies." And he is just one of them players. Eddie Nketiah was always one of them players. You do need a backup striker that's quality enough to jump in whenever he's needed. It's like Divock Origi was for Liverpool. But yeah, no, it's serious. But they're going to sign this Mudryk fella. I think they will sign him. He's only going to make them better. But it is a question of where he's going to play. Like you're going to be spending the odds of £70 million on this young fella. And when Smith Rowe can't even get into the team, it's going to be tricky for Arteta. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But you do need that quality on the bench.
See Arteta though, like he seems to be doing that Man City approach, kind of like have two players in every position, just to have that strength in squad.
And you do need that. And especially this season with a lot of games, you are going to need it. It's a big risk because the last big money signing they really spent on was Nicola Pepe.
And that was
and now he's away on loan back to Ligue 1. So it's a big risk for them paying for a young fella from the Ukrainian league, paying about 70 million. But look, we've all seen him in the Champions League. He's brilliant. Yeah. Let's hope it works out for him.
But they like to give young players a chance. You're seeing like Saka, Martinelli. They've been absolutely unbelievable this season. So, and as Arteta says, he says we're only picking players we need. Like he's not going desperately trying to sign players. He knows who he wants, and he's doing well with it. So, I would back him in that situation.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Arteta's not building a team necessarily towards the title this year. Arteta's building the team to be consistent title challengers for the next 5-6 years.
Yeah, agreed.
A player like Mudryk, like I watched Mudryk twice this season in the Champions League against Celtic, and he broke my heart because he was the only thing Shakhtar had. He scored twice against us, and he should have set up a winner for Shakhtar when he played him the second time. Only somebody decided that 3 yards out is too close in to try and score a goal. But a player like Mudryk, Connor alluded to, his pace, his directness would only make that Arsenal team better. Like I think Arsenal have one of the most exciting forward lines in the league at the minute, especially their two wingers with Saka and Martinelli. Obviously Jesus is going to be a miss for them. He carry a show yesterday. He can't step in. I do feel like they probably should go out in January and look about a number 9, not necessarily throw big money at one, but if there's one who's available, I think it'd make sense for Arsenal to try and bring in a number 9 just to have that backup, because Jesus looks like he'd be out for a decent amount of time now. I've seen he was in crutches and stuff there. So, but this entire Arsenal team is just playing fantastically. Like Arteta's got Xhaka playing like he's never played before. When it looked to the world, he was out of the club 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Ben White was brought in as a centre back, and he's been fantastic down the right back for Arsenal. He got another assist last night. They've got Kieran Tierney and Zinchenko, both quality left backs, to come in. Gabriel and Saliba formed one of the best partnerships in the league so far defensively. Ramsdale's been fantastic. Like there isn't a weak point jumping out at you at this Arsenal team. Like obviously City are still going to be the favourites of the title because it's Man City, and obviously the old adage of when will Arsenal it in February like they usually do. But looking at it now, there isn't a weak point in that Arsenal team that jumps out at you.
Well, that's it. They're just seem to be moving from strength to strength at the minute. Performances are consistent. Those sort of wee patterns of attack and play that they have are fantastic to watch. But look, on the flip side of that last night then, lads, personally, I think West Ham made it look a bit easy for Arsenal. I don't think West Ham were at it last night. I don't think they played particularly well. They had a few boys that were away at the World Cup. I thought Rice actually performed quite well at the World Cup, but again, I thought he was a bit lackluster in midfield last night. Oren, what's going wrong at West Ham at the minute? Who do they go to? Do you think they go into the market in January to try and fix some of the problems that they have? Or do you think Moyes will stick with the squad that he has? Or where do you foresee West Ham going?
I think Moyes is on thin ice, tell you the truth.
Agreed.
I think before the game, Moyes had already accepted defeat. He said it was 3 years ago he wanted to face Arsenal, not now. You should not have that mentality going into a game, and you definitely shouldn't say it in the press when your players are all going to hear that. Look, he's made some good signings over the past few years, especially like Lucas Paqueta, who saw him going to West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, something's changed. He hasn't adapted his football. We talk about this a lot when we talk about Jose Mourinho. He hasn't adapted his football since it was successful. Moisey adapted his football when he first came back to West Ham, and like the rewards were reaped, like European football. Like they're in Europe now, which is still great. But I think one loss in Europe and Moyes will be gone, to tell you the truth. They need to strengthen. They need to do what Arsenal's doing. They need to build a team that has at least 2 people in every position, because they don't. Like they're still relying on players like And no disrespect to this fella, but Aaron Cresswell and left back, they're still relying on players like him that just need a bit of a kick on, in my opinion. But look, it's West Ham. They shouldn't have been in Europe the last couple of years, and he has overachieved with them. Arsenal are playing fantastic at the minute, so it was always going to be difficult for them. But I just think he did admit defeat before the game even started.
Yeah,
The thing
look,
about yeah,
sorry, Connor. No, go on ahead.
no,
Go on ahead.
I was just going to say that they did spend big in the summer as well. So as you were saying, he is going to be on thin ice because they were expecting maybe to kick on and challenge, probably be top 6 this season again. Like I've seen they spent, I think it's over 100 million in the summer. Like they're really underperforming.
It's a lot of money to be sitting so low down the table, really, when you think about it. Owen, what do you think about West Ham then? What needs to change? Do you think a managerial change is something that's going to have to seriously be considered?
Well, at the end of the day, the Premier League is a results business and current results business. I think Moyes has been fantastic for West Ham. I think West Ham has really rejuvenated Moyes' legacy in terms of being a top manager, because he always was a top manager. I know you wouldn't necessarily agree with me with what happened at United, but he still always was a great manager. You seen it. He showed it last year. He could do it at West Ham. I think he's earned time with West Ham, but I also think that time might be starting to run out. Like West Ham's lost 4 in a row in the Premier League. They're sitting a point above the relegation zone. Like they've only won 4 games all season.
Yeah,
so
something needs to change.
Yeah, I've got easier fixtures coming up now. Like the play, I think, well, easier as in like teams around the Brentford, Leeds, Wolves, Everton. So there are big games coming up, and if he doesn't get results, he could be on the way out the door. I know he's done well at West Ham, but they spent the big money in the summer. They're expecting big things, so he could be out the door.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, boys, I'm going to move it on now to Villa Park. Aston Villa 1, Liverpool 3. Big win for Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool straight after the World Cup break. Suppose though, lads, they did have quite a few players. A few of their star players didn't actually travel to the World Cup and probably kept themselves fresh and in relatively good shape to come back into the season. Of course, Salah on the score sheet. Andy Robertson breaking that milestone last night. He's the highest assisting defender in Premier League history. He could be an interesting pick for your fantasy teams over the next few weeks. But look, overall then, Owen, I'll come to you first with this one. What did you make of Liverpool last night? Because personally, I thought they were good going forward, but they still look leaky at the back.
Yeah, they definitely did look leaky. Look, at Villa had chances and they didn't take them. But once again, it was up from about midfield up. It started to look a wee bit like that old Liverpool team that have dominated up there with City the last 4 or 5 years. I thought they seemed to be playing a lot of balls in behind, which worked because of pacey players like Salah and Nunez and get on the end of them. I think the first goal was just fantastic from everywhere. The ball to Robertson from Trent was unbelievable. And it was a great run from Robertson to cut it back to Salah, and Salah doesn't miss from there. I think it's kind of gone under the radar of how well Salah is actually playing this year, just with how bad Liverpool have been.
Yes.
Like Salah has still been scoring goals at his usual rate. It's just round him. There's no other goals coming. They haven't replaced Mane yet. Now maybe with the news of Cody Gakpo, that probably will be their Mane replacement. They've missed Diaz a wee bit out in that left wing, and look at Nunez is in the right position, but he's fantastic up until the final touch. Like he missed 4 big chances last night. I still do think Darwin Nunez will come good, but it's going to take time for him. I'd like to think he'd be taking some of these chances now, but it'd be worse if he wasn't in the position to take them.
I agree with you up till a certain point there, Owen. So I'll come to you with this one, Oren. Look, to me, Darwin Nunez reminds me a little bit of Adama Traore. It's like he does the hard work and he gets himself in those goal-scoring positions. His pace is electrifying. He's strong. He can bully defenders off the ball. His attacking prowess is very good. His attacking intelligence is quite good. But I just see no end product with that fella, and I like for the money that Liverpool spent on him, 80 million. 80 million is a lot. 80 million should guarantee you a player that comes in and scores 25 goals a season.
Mhm.
Or and what's your take on Darwin Núñez? Because at this stage, I'm running out of excuses for him, and I'm just not sure if he's the right man for Liverpool.
Would you know what, Connor? And this is a little preview to OD's opinion of the week. I think Darwin Núñez is gonna match Haaland's numbers in the next couple of years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think, as Owen alluded to, like his attacking awareness is fantastic. Is, as you said, his pace absolutely phenomenal. He's always in the right position. Look, he's not finishing all the chances he should be finishing. But if he had scored 2 days ago on Boxing Day, there it would have been a different story. We would have been talking about different about him. But even still, he's played just over 1,000 minutes. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
like 1,200 minutes so far in his
Mm-hmm.
Liverpool career, and he's got 13 goal contributions
Yeah.
out of 20 games.
Mm-hmm.
For any striker, that's a good return, especially one that's not playing overly well. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know though, Oren? Sorry for cutting across you, but
No, you're good, you're good.
the only thing that worries me is like, let's say for talk's sake, City are in a do or die game, and it's one chance. Like you can bet that Haaland will put the ball in the net. I just feel like if Liverpool are in a do or die game and the one chance falls to Núñez, he probably balloons it into Rowe's head. I'm just not sure that his composure in front of goal is as good as some of the other top strikers around the world.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but Haaland's a freak. Let's be real. Haaland is an absolute freak in nature footballer. He's what age is Haaland, like 21 or 22, if that?
Yeah.
And he's obviously one of the best strikers in the world. Like his composure and everything's fantastic. But Darwin Núñez is only like 22 years old as well. Like he still has plenty of time. We could talk about Rashford in the same light. Like last season, Rashford wasn't finishing all the chances that he should have been, much like Darwin Núñez. And this season, Rashford's backfiring again. Look, he's been there the guts of 6 months. He needs a bit of time. But he's got good players around him, especially in the forward line, and they've just added Cody Gakpo to that. Look, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be absolutely fine, and he's gonna score goals for Liverpool.
Yeah, Connor, I'll come to you then with this one. Obviously, Manchester United have missed out on Cody Gakpo. He was probably United's biggest target for January, and it has really left United looking like they have a bit of egg on their face. What do you think Gakpo will bring to Liverpool then?
I was surprised when they went for Cody Gakpo because obviously they have I think it's more Liverpool of the injuries, so they were just like, right, we need to strengthen here. I think Liverpool still believe, maybe not title contenders, but they need the top four, and they need top four football, Champions League football next year. So they went, right, we need a player that's like the goal contributions. We talked about Gakpo a lot, how good he has been for PSV, and even for Holland in the World Cup, he was very, very good. He's obviously going to contribute goals and set up chances for Darwin Núñez to miss. No, but he is a top player, and I was really gutted when United didn't get him because I thought he was going to come to United, and I thought he suited United more. He would have got more game time because I think once Diaz and Jota are back, I know he's a top player, but Liverpool have so much attacking threat.
Talent.
Yeah, but I do think he is going to contribute, obviously, goals. He's going to set up chances for players. Like you see Núñez there, I would agree with them boys as well, because I think Núñez, although he misses a lot of chances, he is getting in the best position possible and he knows where to be. It's just his finishing. Even like, he just needs to be more clinical. He even jumped over a ball, I think it was like 3 minutes in. Usually you just see a striker just go for it. He just tried to leave it for Salah. I think he just needs to be a bit more clinical, like the type of player like Salah. But I think that will come with time. But I think Gakpo is a good player for Liverpool. It obviously improves their squad. But I was surprised they went for him because I think it's because obviously Diaz is injured and Jota is injured. They're going to be out longer term, obviously, and they know they need Champions League football. But obviously, he's going to be a top player. We talked about him enough. I think he's going to be a great player for Liverpool.
No, that's fair enough. All right, then, lads, I'll go to the flip side of the game then. Obviously, Aston Villa. Look, they created a lot of chances within the game and a lot of sort of high percentage chances. I thought the likes of Watkins played well. I thought Buendia played quite well as well. Owen, do you worry at all for Villa, or do you think, look, they were up against Liverpool, it was always going to be an uphill battle, we can chalk this result off?
I don't necessarily worry about them. I think they're in safe hands. I think Emery's a fantastic manager for them. They clearly do have creative players. They're like Buendia creating chances. Like, if Bailey could hit a ball with any sort of decent strike on it at all, he would have scored 2 goals yesterday, and we could have been
Mm-hmm.
talking about a very different scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Watkins' chances, like, it wasn't a walkover for Liverpool by any stretch. Like, Villa, like, I know to sack Gerrard. I've never thought Gerrard was a good manager, but that might just be a wee bit sour grapes. But they are, like, they're sitting 12th in the table. I don't think they're really relegation candidates. I don't think they're going to be challenging any of the lower European places. But I think this is going to be a season for them to build the future seasons. Like, as you know, Liverpool or Villa have a really great squad on paper.
Mm-hmm.
They have one of the best attacks in the Premier League on paper. I think Emery can sort the defensive structure out because, as we know, he's always been a great defensive manager. And there's players there who have the individual brilliance to create going forward. So I think Villa will be all right. I think next season they'll be one of those teams that the top 6 hate going to and hate playing because they'll turn teams over. And I think towards the end of this season it'll be the same. The likes of an Arsenal or City could be going to Villa Park for a crunch game, and it's a type of game that they would get turned over. So I think Villa are actually in quite a decent position now. I know they lost yesterday, but games against Liverpool aren't going to be the games that make Aston Villa's season.
No, that's totally fair enough. Oren, obviously, January transfer window's coming up. Is there anybody you think that could jump ship, go to Aston Villa? Any big names sort of standing out to you at the minute?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of talk about Danjuma, Arnaud Danjuma.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Owen, what he said about Leon Bailey. I thought Leon Bailey was awful yesterday. And usually we're talking about him being quite good. But Arnaud Danjuma, he would have finished them chances. Obviously, Emery knows him from Villarreal. He played well with them. He was a top goal scorer for Bournemouth. When they were in the Championship? I think it was. He'd be a great addition. But what I think Villa actually need is a centre half. I think Cons is good. I think Mings is good. But I think, and look, Callum Chambers can come off the bench. But I think they need someone else just in the absence of Diego Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
But look, Villa's going to be all right. I think it even could have been a different game yesterday if they had Emi Martinez in goal. Villa's going to be good. Unai Emery, look, I still don't think he's going to succeed. I'm not going to change that opinion, but Villa will be okay. I don't think there's any reason for Villa to go down. If they do, I'll be very, very, very shocked. But,
no, that's fair enough. That's completely fair enough.
I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who's thinking, I want to go to Aston Villa at the minute, if I'm being 100% honest. Maybe the likes of Danjuma and stuff that has worked with Unai Emery. Someone who's worked with Emery will want to go to Villa, but like I seen them linked with Jay Felix, like that's never going to happen.
No.
They have got good. They have got big money though. They've got one of the richest owners in the league. So I think, as you said, this year just be about staying up, but next year they'll probably be summer. It'll be summer because I think their squad's good enough to stay up this season, but there's definitely room for improvement, especially like as you were saying in centre back. Like Tyrone Mings just doesn't really. I think he was trying to play like a high line against Liverpool, and he does not suit that. He hasn't got the pace.
No, I agree, lad. Especially like nobody wants to come into that Villa team just because of their league position at the minute.
Yeah.
And January's always a difficult window anyway.
Yeah.
So I think players with that ambition and that might come in the summer for Villa, I don't think they've any hope of getting them in January. But maybe Danjuma could change them.
Yeah. Like Diego Carlos, when he comes back, like he'll be a top player for them.
Yeah. Definitely.
But that'll not be the next season, obviously. But he'll be like a new signing at that stage.
I agree.
So he'll be key.
Agreed. Okay, then, boys, I'll move on into the next game. Going to go to Chelsea and Bournemouth. Chelsea, comfortable winners, 2-0 home victory. Some good performances within that Chelsea side. I'm going to have to eat my words a wee bit here. I've done nothing but give them abuse over the last few weeks. So do you know what, Chelsea fans? You can have a smile on your face. I'm going to talk nice about your team this week. Kai Havertz played very well. Mason Mount played very well. Jorginho in midfield controlled the tempo. At the back, Chelsea looked good. Thiago Silva, I still can't get over how good he is at this age and how easy he makes defending look. Connor, I'll come to you here. Look, the guy's 38, 39, and he is still one of the top and premier defenders in this league. Why is it that he has been able to adapt in all these leagues, and what sets him apart from the rest?
like the easy answer really is he's just a top player. He's just got such a good footballing brain. He just knows where to be at the right time. I thought when he came to Chelsea, I think he was 35, 36. I was like, oh, he'll struggle. He's too slow. But he's just always in the right position at the right time. He is a top professional. I thought as you said, I have slagged Havertz, I have slagged Mount, but they both scored. I do think Bournemouth are not a great side. But I thought Chelsea did play a bit better. I've seen that was their first win since the 16th of October in the Premier League. Obviously, there's been the World Cup and stuff like that, but still, that is a long period of time. I think they haven't won. I think they've won one of their last 5 or something like that.
They've lost 3 on the bounce.
Yeah, which is dreadful. I couldn't believe how low they were on the table. I think they're 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
They're 6 points off top 4. I couldn't believe it. I think Potter. I think he obviously will need time, and I seen he played the 4-3-3. He played the wingers. He played Pulisic and Sterling, and then he played Havertz up top. And I thought they did play a lot better. I thought Sterling was decent as well. He looked a bit more dangerous. Had more energy. I still think with Chelsea that I think obviously it's a good win. You win 2-0 at home. I still think obviously I think Bournemouth are a poor side, and I think you need to be winning them games anyway. I think James being injured is a big miss too, because I think once he went off, they looked a totally different side. They were very poor. They gave up a few chances at the end. They could have conceded goals, and he's going to be a big miss. And but you have to give them credit. Havertz goal and assist. But I do think tougher tests are ahead for Chelsea, and I wouldn't be talking them up too soon, if you know what I mean.
No, look, that's totally fair enough. Totally fair enough. Owen, look, Graham Potter, he's come under a bit of flack. He had taken Brighton to this status where they were looking like one of the better sides in the Premier League, really. Maybe looking like sort of that Wolves side from a few years ago that caused a lot of the top teams a lot of trouble. He's gone to Chelsea now. He's been there a wee while. Obviously got this World Cup period to work with a lot of players and sort of try and stamp his ideals on the team. I know it's still early to say, look, but do you realistically think that Potter is going to be the manager that makes the difference at Chelsea, or do you think that it was too soon for Potter to move to a club as big as Chelsea?
It's an interesting one. I don't necessarily know if it's too soon for Potter, but I think it might have been the wrong time to come into a team like Chelsea in the middle of a season. Like, he's still playing with Thomas Tuchel's team. You're not going to build your own team in January transfer window.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to need time, and like yesterday, Chelsea were in danger of losing 4 games in a row in the Premier League for the first time ever. And like it's said earlier on, it is a results business for football. I know Abramovich wasn't actually known for pulling the trigger, and I know he's out now, and we don't know what Bowles is like, but Chelsea is a club that demand top title chasing teams, and they're not getting it this year, and they're not looking great. I know yesterday they beat Bournemouth. Bournemouth's probably one of the worst teams in the Premier League, with all respect to Bournemouth.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to reserve judgment in this Chelsea team for a little while yet. We need to give Potter time. Potter needs to at least get the January transfer window in and get some form of his own players in and his own squad built. But if he doesn't start picking up results after January, it could be quite a short journey for Potter. I do think he is in a wee bit of danger, and I know that's mad because he's only been in charge of Chelsea now 3 or 4 months, but it's a results business, and he's not getting results. I know he got one yesterday, and I could be changing my tune if he wins his next 2 games. And as Connor said, I know that it's 6 points, but it's only 6 points off the top 4, so it's not like they're sitting battling relegation or something. But he does need to start picking results up.
Look, I would be inclined to agree with you, Owen. I do think Potter's maybe in a wee bit of trouble. I think that result last night has maybe papered over cracks a wee bit, because, look, I've been talking smack about Chelsea for the past few weeks, and I think it's been warranted, to be honest, because I don't think they're that good of a side. Oren, they're just about to sign Monaco's left-footed centre-back, Benoit Badiashile. Mm-hmm. He definitely makes them stronger at the back. He is a young prospect. Been playing very well in Ligue 1 this season, been part of a very successful Monaco defence. Didier Deschamps actually come out and said that when it comes to young defensive talents, he doesn't think there's many better in the world. that coming from a very defensive coach, so that's high praise.
Mm-hmm.
Where else do Chelsea need to strengthen?
It's difficult to say, because you could say many positions for Chelsea. Look, they played well yesterday. I did think they were a bit shaky at times, and I thought Bournemouth probably should have got a bit more from the game. I'm not saying they should have won, but I think Bournemouth should have got a bit more from the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think definitely a left-footed centre-back is what they needed. And Benoit Badiashile, he probably would have grew up watching the likes of Thiago Silva. He played against him whenever he was playing for PSG, probably at a time as well. So I think he can only improve under the wing of Thiago Silva, say, and even Koulibaly. Koulibaly's been good since he came to Chelsea as well. But like, we're talking about Chelsea improving. They spent over 200 million in the summer, and they have done for the past, I don't know how many years. Do you know what I mean? And they're still not just quite there. But none of these are really Potter's players. I do think in January it would shock me if they didn't go in for Leandro Trossard.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about a potential deal between Trossard and Caldwell, who is owned by Chelsea on loan at Brighton.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should, like, I watched that game yesterday, and again, no disrespect to this player, but they were relying on Pulisic in left wing, and he's just not up to the standard of the Premier League. We need to be honest about it now. He's just not there. Sterling held his own yesterday, but I think maybe the left wing, I think it's hard for them to rely on Havertz. Like, they had Aubameyang on the bench. I think it's hard for them to rely on Havertz. Maybe another backup centre forward. Backup centre forward, left wing, and Badiashile, and I think Chelsea could be in a better position as long as they're Potter signings and not the owners' signings. Like, if they sign Ronaldo, I think it would destroy Potter's team completely.
So obviously, lads, then next game, Tottenham Hotspur, Bournemouth. It was another game where Spurs have had to pull themselves back from adversity and have had to sort of take the bull by the horns. Connor, I'll come to you with this one. Spurs deserve it of the point, or do you think Brentford let themselves down?
I thought it was actually a very good game of football, especially second half, very end to end. I thought Spurs in the first half were very poor, and we had spoken previously about how, I think before the World Cup, how Spurs are very slow starters. I've seen they've now conceded first in their last 9 games, 6 in the Premier League, which is just not gonna do it. You can't keep coming back. I know that before the break they beat Bournemouth, and I think they had a few comeback wins, but to give it, like, Brentford are a very good team. Deserve it 2-0 lead. The second goal was by Dyer. Like, to concede the corner by Dyer was funny, like, but I thought Brentford actually probably deserved to win the game. I know Spurs had the crossbar at the end, but I thought Brentford were the better team throughout the game. I thought Norgard was very, very good. He's back from injury. I thought he was their best player. He's just so good at getting in there, the tackles. His work rate's great. Tony played well again. Scored another goal. His Premier League record is very good as well. He's 50 games, 23 goals, 7 assists. That's a top striker there. I thought Kane was very good as well. I thought Kane did bring them back. Everything works through Kane, basically. I think Son hasn't been playing as well. I think Kane is the key. I think Brentford probably deserved the win, but as Spurs keep doing, they fought and they got the point. And it could be a key point. You never know.
Well, that's it. It could be a big point in terms of that top 4 race. Owen, look, Brentford, I actually thought played some really, really good football yesterday. I think Spurs struggled to cope with them at times. Look, obviously, Tony now has this ban hanging over his head. Do you worry at all for Brentford if they lose Tony?
I do, in a way, yes, because as we know, Tony is a top striker. I think he's third top goal scorer in the league this year. It's 11 goals, whatever it is. I'll be honest with you, I took him out of my fantasy team because I just assumed he was banned this weekend, which was a mistake because I put Darwin Núñez in ahead of him, which didn't go well. Um, but I would worry for them without him. The only thing is, losing them now wouldn't be the end of the world because they do have January right around the corner. They can get somebody in, even if it's just on loan, somebody who can keep them going over until Tony's back. Um, but the thing about Tottenham is they're showing great character coming back in these games, but they can't sustain this.
Mm-hmm.
In their last 6 Premier League games, they conceded at least 2 goals in all 6. Like, this is Antonio Conte's teams who are known for being defensively sound and suffocating their opposition, and they're just too open at the back. Far too open at the back. And we've seen it already this year with Brentford when they turned over Man City. Brentford can play good football, and they are a good side. And like, they only came up last year, and people would kind of be looking at them as one of these teams who might bounce up and bounce down, but they're showing themselves to be Premier League regulars. They're 10th in the table. They're sitting pretty comfortable. They've played big teams and they've got results against big teams. So Brentford, even without Tony, are still going to be one of these teams that are going to turn people over.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. Oren, look, Conte, he says he wants to go into the market in January. He wants to try and sort this side out, buy a few players, get a few people in through the door. But Spurs seem to be a wee bit reluctant at the minute because they're not sure why should they buy players for a manager who's not going to commit himself to the club. What do you think the ultimate resolve is for this situation? Do you think Conte stays on with Spurs, or could you see Conte maybe packing it in at the end of the season?
No, I think Conte is gone at the end of the season, to tell you the truth. He doesn't usually stay long in clubs anyway, and he knows he's not going to get the full backing of Daniel Levy anyway. No manager does. It's just the way Tottenham are. So I don't think he would get the players he would want this January as well, which could have persuaded him to stay on. Look, I thought he was going to go last summer, but he ended up staying. It's who they bring in now. Do they go back to Pochettino? Is that them taking a step backwards or what? I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe Luis Enrique. He could be looking back into club football now that he's finished with Spain. Obviously, you mentioned Roberto Martinez. Your brother wasn't too keen on that appointment, but
no,
look,
I don't think he
was. But look, whoever they bring in, I don't think it's going to be Antonio Conte at the end of the season, which could be the best thing for Spurs, to be honest.
Look, I think that's totally fair enough. I agree, guys. Spurs play an awful bland style of football. They're not good to watch, to be completely honest. It does remind me of watching United under Mourinho, and I said this to Ashing on Boxing Day when we were watching the game. It's boring football. It's hard to get yourself excited to watch that sort of football, and I'm the same as you, Oren. I just don't know if Conte will stick it out there, especially if he doesn't get the resources that he needs. He's the type of manager to chuck the toys out of the pram and just pack it in rather than leave his own legacy in tatters. Look, I'm going to move it on to our next game then. Newcastle, comfortable 3-0 winners against Leicester. Questions were asked. Were they going to keep up the form post the World Cup? And I mean, you can't really say anything better than a 3-0 win after the World Cup to excite the fans again. Number of top performers: Miguel Almiron, fantastic; Bruno Guimaraes, Joelinton, even Chris Wood played quite well. Oren, I'll come to you first on this.
Mm-hmm.
Are they the real deal? Can they push all the way, go for the top 4?
Yeah, I think there's absolutely no reason why Newcastle couldn't get into the top 4 this season. I just think the competition for the top 4 is very... There's a lot more competition for it this season than there has been in the past few years. So if they don't get it, I think they'll be on the fringes of it at least. Some good performers. Obviously, Miguel Almiron playing his stuff, doing well. I think their linchpin is Kieran Trippier. He just seems to do everything He's so good defensively and in attacking as well.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno Guimaraes, of course, what a player. Yeah, no, and Chris Wood, like we talked about Chris Wood a couple of weeks ago. Look, they spent a lot of money to get him from Burnley, sorry. And obviously that was their first signing under the Saudis. But again, he's just one of them players, and I'll go back to what was said about Eddie Nketiah. He's just one of them players you need a backup striker. Nice Rocco to say hello. What about you, Rocco? Hope you're enjoying the podcast.
Can you hear him, by the way?
Yeah.
But he's outside. He's not even in the house. He's outside. Like,
He's a new host in this podcast.
Fifth member, lads.
He must hate Chris Wood or Newcastle. He must hate them.
hold on, just you keep talking there. I'm gonna go and sort this out.
But yeah, no, I think Newcastle's the real deal. Boys, what do you think?
Well, Newcastle yesterday shown that they haven't missed a beat since the World Cup. They've won 5 in the bounce. I know it's kind of mad to say it's only 3 points above Tottenham, and we're talking about Tottenham being in the top 4 race. Newcastle are nearly more looking above them than they are below them. Like, yeah, they have 2 games in hand, or City have 2 games in hand on them, and Arsenal have a game in hand on them. But they've been playing really, really good football, and the thing about Newcastle is they don't score against them. They're the best defensive side in the league. Like, Sven Botman is having a fantastic season. Still doesn't make sense to me why the Dutch didn't take him. Trippier has been fantastic. You're talking about Bruno Guimaraes is probably, I know you're talking about Casemiro being the best centre defensive midfielder in the world, and on ability that's definitely true, but on form you have to be talking about Bruno being up there.
Oh, he's definitely up there.
Yeah, top player.
Miggy Almiron, Grealish wishes he could play like Almiron. Almiron's probably been the standout performer in the league this year in terms of like surprise of him of how he's playing. Like, say Newcastle were to go on and do a magical Leicester type run and win the Premier League, Almiron would be the player of the season.
Things been very good as well. Joe Linton.
Eddie Howe has done a masterstroke on him. He's just whacked the. Remember, like back in the old days of FIFA, you could convert a striker to a CDM. He just whacked the position modifier on him. No bother.
No, I agree.
Like Joe Linton in midfield. You know, he won the most duels in the match. He was the most accurate passer. He got a goal. He won the penalty. Like, he was a key player. Obviously, Almiron's been unbelievable this season. 9 in 16 games. Who would have thought that? He had like 9 in his previous 116.
Yeah,
which is just hilarious. It's mad. Eddie Howe has just been. It has to be contender for manager of the season. He's been unbelievable. He's just changed. He's turned that team around. They've 21 wins this season in 2022. Since he's come in, they've won. They've been up there as one of the best teams in the league. You know, he's made so many players better. Even Chris Wood, as you were saying, he's been playing well. And I've seen Chris Wood play, and I think he's an average enough player, but he can just get the best out of him. Well, as you said, the back line is one of the best in the league. You know, Trippier is a good player. He set up one of the goals again, but like he's even hit another level. He's just defensively and attacking ways. I think Leicester were very poor. They were missing Maddison. I think he is their key player. Yeah. But you still got to give to Newcastle, and I think they are serious top 4 contenders. I thought maybe they'd miss out, maybe come 5th or 6th, but the way they're playing at the minute, I think that they play Arsenal next week. That's a big game.
It'll be a brilliant game.
Exciting game.
Yeah.
And Newcastle play good football, and you know, as bad as Leicester were, they were picking up a bit of form before the World Cup, and also not a lot of teams go to Leicester and win 3-0 and that comfortably. The game was over at half time. So you've got to give them credit.
I would have said a lot of fantasy players had Danny Ward as their goalkeeper.
Yeah.
As well.
I thought it was going to be a tight game. I thought, it'll be a tight game first game back, but it was 2-0 inside 7 minutes, and the game was basically over at that point. So, you know, they've got that. They can kill teams off, and defensively, very good.
If you have Danny Ward as your FPL keeper, you're a silly Billy.
But before the World Cup, he was doing well.
No, I'm not saying that. But
he sat on my bench.
But Newcastle are coming to town. They're gonna put 2 or 3 past you, like.
Yeah. You should have had a goalkeeper who was playing that game, but not the Leicester one. You should Nick Pope, because he racks in the clean sheet points. Yeah. The thing I love about Newcastle, and I've talked about it before, is obviously the Saudis came in. big injection of cash, but they've bought smart. They haven't went out and spent 80 million on a big money signing who's going to get jersey sales like you think the type of player that could go out and get Ronaldo for the name of Ronaldo, but they haven't. They've been smart. They spent big money, but they spent big money on players who make their team better and aren't bringing in massive egos into that team.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. It's all well and good having the money, but spending it smart is more important than just spending loads of money. Look, normally we would talk about all the games, but we're running quite short on time here, boys. So I am just gonna speed this along. Obviously, Brighton got a win. Looked comfortable. Not much more we can really say about that.
Yeah,
Fulham,
just be more.
again.
Southampton, they're bottom of the league. They're struggling.
Yeah,
It's
they're
going to be a
poor.
tough season for them. They're not
They're
playing
poor.
well.
Yeah.
So
Fulham, excellent again. Mitrovic, you can't fault him. He's absolutely fantastic.
Going 2 assists.
That's it.
Yeah.
Top player.
10 goals this season.
Looking fantastic. Wolves, last gasp winner against Everton.
Big win.
Big win for Wolves. Lopetegui's first game in charge. Again, not much more you can say about that. Everton looking poor. That's about all you can say there. And then look, we can't talk about Man City and Leeds because that game hasn't happened yet. So we'll make sure and cover that game on the next episode. But look, boys, I'm going to push it on here. Going to go to you, Connor Dorman. Back to one of the fan favourite segments, Connor Dorman's Player of the Week. Who have you got this week?
Yeah, so this week there has been obviously a few contenders. Joe Linton played well, Salah played well, Rashford played well, but I'm going to go with Mitrovic. A goal, 2 assists. I think this season he's been unbelievable. Fulham have done well too. I think they're top 10. He has 13 games, 10 goals, 2 assists. People were thinking, can Mitrovic do it in the Premier League? And he's showing. Of course he can. He's just all-round brilliant player. Got the 2 assists, got the goal. Just a world-class performance. And Fulham are looking good. And Fulham, I thought they'd maybe get relegated, but with Mitrovic there firing, it looks like they could even maybe fight for a top 10 finish.
Yeah,
Hard
he's
to disagree with that.
completely unplayable at the minute. Really, he had a good World Cup as well, Mitrovic, and he's carried this form back into the Premier League. He's a top striker,
player.
really, isn't he?
Yeah, one of the best in the league at the minute.
Has to be. And I was ripping. I had him on my bench for fantasy
did.
this week. And he
So
got
did
him in
I.
I had him in, lad. I believed in Mitrovic.
Got it. Now, to the listeners at home, we actually have a new section that we are introducing to the podcast. Obviously, as we're all co-hosts here, we all have a section. So we thought, let's give McCardle a section. And what could we give him? So we're calling this section the cream of the crop because it's not quite, or sorry, the cream of the cream because it's not quite the cream of the crop. So to explain this to the listeners at home, what Owen's going to do is basically Owen's going to pick out the biggest loser of the week. It could be a team, it could be a manager, it could be a player, the biggest boob, if you will.
The biggest boob.
So Owen, who is the cream of the cream this week?
Well, the first winner of the prestigious Cream of the Cream a Week award goes to Brian and Mbeumo for probably the worst dive I have seen in my life.
That was horrifying.
Like, Fraser Forster's a big fella, and there's still about 2 foot between Fraser Forster and Mbeumo, and man goes down like there's a sniper sitting on the top of that stadium.
So congratulations, Brian and Mbeumo. Hope you're enjoying the pod, but you are the biggest boob.
You're the boob of the week.
What a moment.
All right
what a
then,
moment.
gonna move it on then to my fantasy pick of the week. I struggled with this one, lads. I've done quite well with my first 2 fantasy picks. They picked up points in the week that I picked them. So listen, guys, I'm gonna go Man United player this week. Get Marcus Rashford into your teams, folks. He is producing at the minute. Claimed the maximum number of points available to him this week. Claimed the bonus points as well for man of the match. I think it's a no-brainer than to get Marcus Rashford into your fantasy teams at the minute. I'm moving it on from fantasy. Oren, gonna go to you. OD's opinion of the week, another fan favourite. What's your opinion this week?
Yeah, so we touched on it earlier, but OD's opinion on the week is that Darwin Núñez in years to come will match Haaland's numbers in the Premier League.
I'm gonna have
Who
to
doesn't
disagree.
agree?
I'm gonna have to disagree with that
Rocco's not agreeing.
one. Rocco's going mad down there. He's saying Núñez shite. Look, folks. Gonna just run through predictions then for next week quickly, if you don't mind, and then I'd say that's where we're gonna call it, if that's okay.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
So let me just get the fixtures up for
New Year's Eve, isn't it?
It is New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
I
and the day
think.
before New Year's Eve. So the first game is West Ham and Brentford.
West Ham, Brentford. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Brentford.
Dormant,
I'm going to go West Ham because they need a win and they're at home. So I'll go West Ham.
McYardle.
I'm gonna go West Ham at home.
I'm going to go Brentford as well, or a draw. I don't think West Ham's going to quite do it, but you never know. Next game on the Friday is Liverpool and Leicester. Liverpool at home.
It's tough. Because I think Leicester can nick a result, but no, I'll play it safe. I'll go Liverpool.
Yeah,
Dormant.
I go Liverpool. I think they'll win pretty comfortably.
Yeah, McYardle.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Liverpool.
Yeah, it has to be. Like, if they can't even win at home, look, I know it's Newcastle, but if they can't even win at home, there's not a chance they're going to win at Anfield. The first game on New Year's Eve is Wolves versus Manchester United at Molineux. Richie?
United.
Mm-hmm. Dormant?
Yeah, I'm going to go United. I'll be worried because obviously you haven't got a great track record of Wolves, but I'll go United.
And McYardle?
I'm gonna go Wolves.
I
Of course
knew
you are.
it. I
Of
knew
course
it.
you are,
I
you
knew it.
prick.
No,
And he has
no,
to be
you-
some
You're
bias.
an asshole, McYardle. You're not back on next week.
Come off,
You're
kick
the
off.
boob of the week.
You're the fucking noob of the week, yeah.
I knew he was going to go Wolves too. I knew you were. You knew we were all going to go United.
He's only doing it because...
No.
Oh, my God.
because it's Lavatali's first game as a new manager at home, and this is the type of stupid game United lose. And you have to agree with me, United lose these stupid games.
We do struggle at Wolves, I'll
I'll
agree.
agree
And
with Jordan.
we lost Emery in his first game too, so he has a point in a way, but
Right, come back to me
Don't
next week.
sympathise with him, Dorman.
I'll let him away with it this week.
Come back to me next week.
If you keep doing it, then I'll turn on you, lad.
I'm going to go United. I just think they're firing at the minute, and Wolves are down at the bottom of the table and around it in the relegation places. I think United's got them. Fulham, Southampton, that's a good game.
Fulham.
Yeah, Fulham all day.
Yeah.
Mitrovic has to be in the fantasy teams. Has to.
Yeah, he does. McYardle?
Yeah, Fulham.
Yeah, has to be. Bournemouth, Crystal Palace.
Palace.
Ooh. At the
I'm gonna go.
Vitality.
I'm gonna go Bournemouth because Palace haven't even had a shot on target in their last two games, so I'll go Bournemouth.
Yeah, that's true. And McYardle.
I'm going to go with Bournemouth because Palace have been a bit poor recently.
Yeah. I'm going to go with draw. I think Palace might bounce back a wee bit. I know they're two sending offs, two key players, but I think it might bounce back, get a point off them. Newcastle versus Leeds.
Newcastle.
Richie? Newcastle. Dorma.
Yeah, Newcastle all day.
McYardle.
Aye, Newcastle at home.
Yeah, Newcastle have to win that. City versus Everton at the Etihad. Richie.
Everton. No, what are you joking?
Frank Lampard, number one.
No, what are you joking?
Gonna go to City.
City all day long.
Yeah,
City.
City.
Yeah, City all day.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. It's going to be Man City. This is a good game, in my opinion. Brighton versus Arsenal. Brighton's at home.
I'm going to go a draw.
Yeah, I was gonna go draw as well. I think Brighton are a very good side, and I think they'll give Arsenal a bit of trouble.
McYardle.
I'm going to go Arsenal, but I think a key in this game is if McAllister and Caicedo will be back.
Mm-hmm.
Caicedo,
Well,
no, he might be back. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
think
Arsenal.
was he back? No.
I'm going to go... yeah, Caicedo was playing the other day.
Yeah,
was
he's
he?
back. Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, I'm going to go Brighton. I think Brighton's going to pull off a shock, and I think De Zerbi's just playing good football with Brighton at the minute, so I think they could pull off a shock and get points off Arsenal. And the last two games are on the Sunday, so we've Tottenham Hotspur versus Aston Villa at 2 o'clock on Sunday.
Oh, it's so tough. Like, it's so tough to say because Spurs have been so poor and Villa have actually played good football. It's at Spurs, is it? Sorry.
It is, yeah.
If it's at Spurs, I'm gonna say Spurs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go draw. I think Villa are playing good football, and I think if they could take the lead, they're gonna be hard to stop, and they'll be good in the counter. So I'm gonna go Villa or draw. Sorry.
McYardle.
Draw.
I'm going to go 2-2 draw with Aston Villa 2-0 up after 30 seconds because that's the way Tottenham play. So, yeah, draw.
Yeah, I'm going to go with draw too. I think it's going to be a tough game for both sides, and I agree with you, Dorman. If Tottenham concede first, there could be a bit of problems there because Villa might be able to deal with it a bit better than other teams. And the final game, Forest are at home to Chelsea. Connor, 1-1 here.
Chelsea has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dorman?
Chelsea. Forrest can't score, so it has to be Chelsea.
Yeah,
McCardle, any shocks?
No, I'm gonna go Chelsea.
Yeah, no shocks. I am going to go Chelsea too.
Yeah.
Richie, sign us off.
Yeah, I think that's us then. Once again, folks, just a massive thank you for all the support. And once again, look, we apologize for last week's episode, but look, like we said, we're still sort of trying to work out the kinks of this remote podcasting. I don't know about you boys, but I am really, really missing the studio, to be honest, where everything is just so simple.
Yeah.
But look, we hope you've been enjoying the content. That's the Premier League back. Our Premier League content will be coming thick and fast after the games, after game weeks. You know, keep it locked with the Bottom Bins. You can follow us on Twitter at Bottom Bins Pod. You can follow us on Instagram at Bottom Bins Pod. We are also going to be creating a TikTok for some of our reels from our Parlay Sports conversations. Again, find us on the Parlay Sports app on the Apple App Store. PRLY Sports. That's where you'll get us. Have a conversation with us. We are available now on all major platforms. That includes Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, all the major places to get your podcast. So no excuses to not be listening to the Bottom Bins podcast.
And we're number 121 in the UK of sports podcasts on Apple Podcasts. So for the new year, try and break us into that top 100. The support's been fantastic, and let's keep it going. That's
the goal. That's where we want to get. We want to be inside that top 100. We want to be at the Football Content Awards next year. So any support is much appreciated. And I think that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and thanks for jumping on, lads.
All right, boys. Thank you.
No problem.
Right.
Thank you.
No problem, lad. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas, folks, and
Happy
keep it
New
locked
Year.
to the Bottom
Happy New
Bins.
Year, folks. Keep it Bottom Bins.
Bye-bye.